This video will demonstrate the synthesis of aspirin using ethanoic anhydride, salicylic acid, and phosphoric acid. However, sulfuric acid concentrated could also be substituted for phosphoric acid. This synthesis involves the use of corrosive acids and produces acid vapors. And as such, the proper safety materials are required, those being safety goggles and either performing the reaction outside or in a fume hood. First, all of the reagents must be measured out. Start by weighing 2 grams of salicylic acid into a 50 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask. Next, measure out 5 milliliters of acetic anhydride into a graduated cylinder. We use a plastic pipette to remove the sufficient quantity from a storage jar. You want to make sure that you are at perpendicular eye level with the graduated cylinder, as this will reduce parallax and incorrect measurements. Also, remember to measure from the bottom of the meniscus, as it is concave in shape. Then, carefully add 5 drops of concentrated 85% phosphoric acid to your ethanoic anhydride. The 50 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask containing 2 grams of salicylic acid and now a stir bar is placed onto a hot plate stirrer, either outside or in a fume hood. In our case, we used a fume hood. The experimental procedure that we followed for this reaction indicated that we would notice ethanoic anhydride fumes coming off of the Erlenmeyer flask during this step. We, however, noticed a reflux occurring in the flask. After we had been letting the flask sit on the hot plate for about 10 minutes, we then added 2 milliliters of distilled water. After about 15 minutes had passed and the reaction had stopped, we turned off the heat and then allowed the flask to reach room temperature. We then added 20 milliliters of distilled water. Once the solution had a chance to reach room temperature, we then placed it in an ice bath so that the aspirin itself could crystallize out, as acetylsalicylic acid is rather insoluble in water. Once the aspirin has crystallized, we then transferred it to a Buchner funnel for vacuum filtration. During this, we included several washing steps where we used a wash bottle of deionized water. We try to keep this to a minimum to minimize loss of our product. However, it is evident that we did lose a significant amount from this. After the washing and filtration step, we transferred our aspirin sample to a weigh boat so we could allow it to dry. After 24 hours, we massed our final sample, and it came up to about 1.2 grams, which is around a 50% yield based on our starting amount of salicylic acid.